Welcome to Forestry Technology, where raw force meets smart engineering, and every machine has one job: dominate the material in front of it. This isn't just a shredder. With a torque-optimized motor and hardened steel blades, this beast tears through reinforced metal frames and industrial tires without choking or jamming. It is built for continuous heavy-duty work, delivering serious output with minimal maintenance and maximum punishment tolerance. Then there is scale that almost breaks your brain. A 45,000-pound steel coil weighs nearly 20 tons, around 10 times heavier than a mid-sized sedan. These giant coils go on to become cars, refrigerators, pipelines, and countless industrial products. Put one beside a car and the size difference feels unreal. That is industrial power in its purest form. The Atlas Copco HB 2500 brings another kind of brutality. Weighing 2,500 kilograms and using a 155 millimeter tool diameter, it combines crushing force with auto-control technology that cuts vibration while pushing excavation performance higher. The same goes for tire recycling. Compared with older multi-operator cutters, the Eco Extractor 63 gets the job done faster, safer, and smarter. While older systems stall on reinforced 6.3-inch off-the-record tires, this U.S. designed machine handles up to 10 tires an hour with remote-controlled precision. That is exactly why modern recycling tech keeps leaving outdated methods behind. And then the mood shifts. Forget Cookie Monster, this is Steel Monster. The Squalo 2000 crushes cars with ridiculous speed, turning the scrapyard into an industrial comedy show with teeth. Less bulk, more scrap, more efficiency. It is brutal, fast, and weirdly entertaining all at once. Step up to the Squalo 3000 and things get even wilder. Throw in a massive H-beam and watch the angled cut make thick steel collapse like cardboard. It stops feeling like factory work and starts looking like some kind of engineering challenge show where the only rule is that the steel always loses. Cars are built to protect people in crashes, but against heavy equipment like the Case W30, even reinforced shells become fragile. Once crushed, a vehicle keeps only about a quarter of its original bulk. The rest is stripped, sorted, and prepared for recovery. That is the hidden side of recycling: less space, cleaner logistics, better material value. Then comes the VTN Shear CI 1300, delivering 1,300 tons of cutting force. Powered by a Fiat 190, its hydraulic jaws slice through truck frames like butter. The frequency cycle is engineered to balance speed, force, and operator safety, which is exactly why protective gear is never optional around machines like this. One moment of carelessness here gets punished fast. Sometimes destruction even sounds calming. The deep crunch of layered rubber under twin steel jaws, the rhythmic grind, the steady hum, it turns industrial violence into something almost hypnotic. Strange, but true. This is destruction as therapy. And if some old bike frame thinks it can survive, it is in for a rude awakening. This shredder is not here for a conversation. From rusty cans to engine blocks, it chews through metal and spits out fragments with the savage grace of a blender on full blast. Machines like the Crambo prove that great engineering is built over decades. Comtech started in Austria in the late 1980s, solving composting problems. And from that came a slow-speed shredder tough enough for stumps, roots, and brutal waste streams. Over time, it evolved into a flagship machine that helped reshape recycling around the world. That is what long-term engineering vision actually looks like. The same thrill shows up with bottle shredding. Toss a mountain of bottles at the Dragon Shred DS40150 and suddenly recycling feels like a dare. At around 600 kilograms per hour, the crunch alone makes it feel less like waste processing and more like entertainment with a scoreboard. Then there is the VB950DK, the so-called Red Giant. Car after car disappears into its jaws, while onlookers stand back in disbelief. Machines like this do not just work, they command respect. One wrong step near them, and you understand instantly why distance matters. Of course, not everyone likes seeing classic cars crushed. Some see heartbreak, but preservation costs money, and not every vehicle can be saved. Once compacted, those cars move into a new cycle, heading to foundries to be purified and reborn as new products. That tension between preservation and recycling says a lot about how limited resources are managed in the real world. The Aljon LC90 shows the science behind the violence. Powered by a Cummins 6BT 5.9 diesel, it uses a massive crushing bed, hydraulic landing gear, remote controls, and onboard compressors to maintain consistent pressure. What looks like simple destruction is really torque, leverage, and controlled force working together. Bus dismantling tells the same story from another angle. Excavators use high-torque hydraulic shears to separate structural components with surgical power. But it also reminds us that environmental control matters too. Residual exhaust, fluids, and emissions need to be handled properly, or the job is only half done. Then there is the emotional side. Watching a childhood bus meet a crusher feels surreal, but that is what modern recovery and recycling look like. Machines do not care about nostalgia. They care about throughput, separation, and the next material cycle. That is why the GF4000 matters. Crushing whole cars is not just demolition, it is the start of reuse. Instead of rusting away, the metal comes back as bridges, trains, appliances, and structural products. That saves mining resources, lowers emissions, and proves heavy industry can still move towards sustainability when it wants to. And finally, there is the raw spectacle. A rusty old car disappears under terrifying hydraulic force, reduced to scrap with mechanical precision. Then the UNTA 4-shaft shredder steps in and rips plastic apart with a sound that should not be this satisfying, yet somehow is. Serious power, clean output, addictive rhythm. That is the world of forestry technology, where steel gets tested, machines show their true character, and destruction is only the first step in building something new.